I'm 5 minutes early. See if that's working. Ba-bum, 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 ba-bum. I'm 5 minutes early. Yep. Happy Sunday. Bum, bum, bum. Al, you made it right at the beginning. Welcome. What's happening, Al? Let me rewind this. I had a few minutes to spare, so I said, let me cobble together a quick live stream, and I'm going to open up some of the toys, hopefully, that I didn't get to last time. So I'm going to let, I got actually a couple of cool ones here. This is the coolest right here. First, I got to talk about some of the annoying things. The Hollywood annoying things. Al, how's the weather up in Long Island? You still in were you in Bohemia? Ah, yeah, I forgot. You're close to the beach over there, too. I miss the food that I can get. You know, the best food on Long Island was from A&S Deli. I'll get into that when King Banana Head finishes playing. King Banana Head. Whoa, 95? Are you shitting me? No friggin' way. 95? That's hotter than here. Way hotter. Dude, I told you shouldn't leave and come over here, man. Are you kidding me? 95? Get the hell out of here. There's no way. No way. If that's the case, you really should bail and come here. It's cheaper. Well, not necessarily where I live, but close to it. So if anyone saw my video this morning, I bought my son a truck. It's really nice, the Honda Ridgeline Black Edition. My son and daughter-in-law, both. Yeah, I bought it for both of them. She's a horse mama, and a donkey mama, too, so she's got a bunch of animals. Intermediate Gardener, how are you, my friend? Welcome. So I said, you know what? Let me be nice to my son since I pilfer this King Banana Head introductory song. And I said, let me get you something that will be economical. So I didn't want to get him, like a TRX with a freaking blown Hemi motor. And that Ridgeline, man, it is so nice. I think if you drive it economically, you can get like 25 to 28 MPG on the highway, which is freaking awesome. And it's pretty roomy too. So he's ecstatic, him and his wife, because they have like 2 dogs. I think she has other animals, plus she has 2 horses. Good morning, Bong Donkey. Well, welcome. As this winds down, I'm going to bitch about the Demeter, the last voyage of the Demeter. If any of you haven't watched that crappy movie, I'm going to tell you, save your time. Don't waste your energy. We have only gotten that Bentley out one time. It's too freaking hot. It was hot. The sun was beating on us. We just went to get like the RIFD chip that allows us to get through the gates to get to my building here. Anyway, welcome again, everyone. So I'll just tell you a quick thing about so we got my son the truck. I actually had found a dealer in North Carolina, and they were negotiating with me. And as usual, they were a little shifty. And I bought 3 cars over the years there when I lived in North Carolina. And Then right when we were ready to like pull the plug, not pull the plug, actually, actually make the deal. They're like, "Oh, it's sold." I'm like, "So, well, what the hell are you negotiating with me for, you morons?" I was so pissed. So I just screw that, and I ended up finding one locally here. And yeah, I got to ship it, but the shipper's coming today. He's going to call me. I arranged the shipping, and I got a better version, cheaper, not much cheaper, but brand new. And I said, let me give him something a little more practical because his wife goes to the barn a lot. Like I said, she's got 2 horses, a donkey, other animals, dogs, and it's much easier to throw your crap in the back and not have to worry about it. So this is a perfect vehicle for them. They're ecstatic, and that's why I did it. I'm not one of these guys like there's some old school like growing up with, my parents being immigrants, my dad and his generation, that depression era where they're like, well, we'll give away our assets when we're when we're dead, and I'm like, that's not me. If I could help my kids, family members, I try to do it beforehand, before I'm dead. I don't really care after I'm dead. So that was that. Anyway, I got to tell you, so I watched this stupid movie, The Last Voyage of the Demeter. Let me sum it up for you like this. Um, I would like to reverse the races, but basically, a bunch of rogues and scallywags from 1897 Britain have to deliver cargo. Every single character is a white character except for one. There's one person of color, right? And who do you think? And they're all males too. Everyone's male except for one. I don't even want to call her stowaway. She was almost like a host for the parasitic vampire in this movie. And in the end, I'm not even spoiling it by, imagine, who do you think survives? Who the hell do you think out of the entire cast of white dudes in England, right? There's one lone survivor. It's like if you reversed the roles, if you reversed the casting, and if it was all POC and one lone European on there, and you just had the one lone European survive, beyond that, right? Like, because it's a Dracula movie. If you don't know it, it's a Last Voyage of the Demeter. And there was some moments that were okay, I guess. My wife thought the depiction of Dracula was particularly creepy. Um, I'll tell you before I get into the Dracula part, and then I'm not going to dwell too long on this, but there was a woman that was in one of the coffins. Now, in the setup in the movie was when they're loading this cargo that's seemingly making its way from Eastern Europe, I guess, because it doesn't really articulate where it's from. As they're loading it, so some guy is getting when he hobbles together the crew, one of the people that are on the crew, because he didn't want to pick the one person of color who happens to be a Cambridge educated doctor in 1897 England. Okay, so the one ruffian that's selected for crew duties, he sees this dragon motif. Sticks would like that because it looks like his Ouroboros logo. And the guy all of a sudden he has a scarred eye, I think, with the it looks like a cataract on there, like the eye's dead. He's a hair juicer. What's happening? So the guy's like, I'm not going on that person. See, that's a mark of evil. So he bails, which is sort of like a harbinger for what's going to happen. Anyway, they load all these coffins. I'm going to deliver coffins. With no explanation, right? You were like, well, who's paying to deliver coffins from? And I don't even know where the ship originated from, because they were going to London. So now that I think of it, like it seemed like they started out in London, but I guess they didn't. They were going to London. And anyway, as the movie, it's probably still in theaters. It may have just hit streaming now. It might be a few theaters left showing it, but anyway, as the bad things start happening, right? Because it's Dracula's and obviously one of the coffins. They, first these animals, because they're also it's like Noah's Ark. They got a bunch of animals in there. I don't know if they were for food or just transporting goats and sheep and chickens and dogs and, well, one dog, pet dog. Now all of a sudden the throats get slashed. So they start investigating. The crew is like particularly stupid, except the one person of color. He's particularly smart. And not that it really matters. So open one of these coffins and there's a huge dirt pile. Anyway, in this dirt pile, there's this, you can only describe her as like a wench um, that was offered, I guess, to Dracula as a host for him to just have like this parasitic relationship during the voyage. He could sort of feed on her, right? She's half dead. Now, the doctor, Cambridge educated doctor, 1897 England, he has this great idea. Well, I'm going to give her a blood transfusion because she's obviously got a blood disease. How he diagnosed this as uh, anyone else's guess, but he does, and it sort of revives her eventually, right? And as she slowly gains cognition, through the course of the movie, people start getting slaughtered and murdered. Eventually Dracula emerges, right? You see him. And first of all, like the thing is, I'm used to the Bela Lugosi Dracula. So this depiction of Dracula was more like Nosferatu, the more demon looking with all the teeth. And there's no depth or substance at all to depict him like this. He's very savage and kills with no calculation, no remorse. Like all the animals are slaughtered, the dogs are slaughtered, and you're wondering, like, what's the point? So as this progresses on, and by the way, this was directed by Andre Overdal, and he's got the O. He's Norwegian with the circle, so I'll call him Ovaltine, directed by Ovaltine. As the crew is getting slaughtered efficiently by Nosferatu, eventually, as this girl who was like on death's door, barely clinging to her last breath, don't ask me how. When they eventually start battling out with this freaking Dracula, she somehow manages to go girl power, know how to work over under shotguns. And of course, as the men, these rugged men are getting slaughtered, she, of course, can load the shotgun. Don't ask me why, because she's a peasant girl from Eastern Europe that was sacrificed to Dracula, but now she's loading shotguns and blasting away. It's a total disconnect from what you would have expected from the character. And in the end, like I said, predictably in today's Hollywood, every single white male is slaughtered. The only survivors are the two, the person of color and the only woman that was on the ship. Big shock. Hold on, I have to put on my best critical drinker impersonation here. Hold on. Power on. It was good at delivering the message. Professional mode. So beyond the absolute blatant racism, because I give it a stop, turn off microphone. Thanks for using. Beyond the overt racism, which I said these movies have to be assigned a racism score, an anti-European racism score, involving academia too, so we can call out these morons. But it was just a terrible Dracula movie. Terrible. Even if it didn't have that, even if it was a completely white cat, it was just a shitty Dracula movie. To me, the proper Dracula is the Dracula that can hypnotize the victims and then turn them into not zombies, like willing servants. The people that he bit that didn't die right away, that he didn't drain, they would turn almost like zombie-like, and it didn't really explain any motivations for these characters, so they just existed on their own, just doing, I don't even know what dumb stuff. And then, of course, if they're in the light, they just combusted instantaneously, just combusted into flames. And in the end, as the one person of color and the woman, because now she's like super noble girl boss and warrior, she's starting to turn back into that like almost zombification mode. So the guy's like, I'm going to give you another transfusion. She's like, no, because she's so noble. And she just drifts off in a raft and catches on fire. And that was it. But it's just, tedious and monotonous to have to go through this crap. So I give the movie 0 out of 10 just for its racism. And then as a Dracula movie, 2 out of 10. So save yourself the agony if you don't like that kind of stuff. Now, speaking of entertainment, there's a lot has been said about Ahsoka, the Star Wars series. Now, it is so painfully slow. And I said this, why did you cast, somebody that's nearly 50 to do these fight scenes? Because she is very slow. I mean, if we're just going to call it for what it is, she's slow, physically slow, relative to what you would expect the Jedi, right? But it makes the scenes very ponderous, right? It looks way too choreographed, like a slow moving dance, like butterflies. Just beyond that, right? The only thing I want to say about that show is I realized that Sabine, I said this in the title, Sabine could be my granddaughter. I'll tell you why, because Sabine is actually Chinese and Italian. And since my son married a Chinese girl, very pretty, I said, you know what? That actress that plays Sabine could be my granddaughter. That would be, although my son has, on my side, he's 100% Italian. Now, my wife, she's got a little bit of Italian mixed in with like British and Scottish, I believe, is her predominant genetics. But yeah, so we were joking that I forgot the actress's name. Well, I'll look her up real quick here. Let's see, Sabine. Who plays Sabine? This is Sabine. Here we go. Natasha Lou Bordiza. We were just cracking up. I said, well, and that's his wife's maiden name. And we're like, well, if you have a daughter, you're going to have to call her Natasha Lou Bellata. And it was funny. I said, so that could be my granddaughter. But she's actually very cute. It's a shame she's cast in this horrible, horrible TV show, series, whatever the hell you want to call it. Anyway, I can't stay long because I'm waiting for the trucker to call me. And like I said, this is kind of like a catch up on toys. So I wanted to, by the way, I actually let me look at my little notes here. Oh, I received 6 boxes from Heritage Auction, 6 freaking huge boxes of their Batman toys. That's the auction where those toys sold for like 1.2 and change million dollars from the Ed Kelly collection, whoever Ed is. And I should know. I'm not disparaging Mr. Kelly. I just don't know who he was. Or maybe I did in the periphery and can't remember. But I'll have to open them soon because there is questions. Well, do I have it? I don't have it up about that helicopter. So that's going to be forthcoming. I was going to try to open some of those, but I still got a ton of stuff. That's what I'm going to catch up with here. And we'll see. Now, before I get into the toys, Scott Adams, who I've contracted to call him Scatums, and this happened to Styx for my Styx fans, too, that watch this. Scott Adams was doing a whiteboard, and he was talking about how I'm going to call them the alphabet agencies influence the news that you watch. And you know who the alphabet agencies are. And he had glitches. It was so bizarre that you couldn't hear a word he was saying. It glitched out like crazy. And I think people used to troll him saying your audio's bad. And he didn't believe it, but you couldn't hear it at all. And you had to once you reloaded it, you could rewind it and it would work fine. But that happened to Styx too sometimes. And I don't know if it was the subject matter he was touching on, but it's getting a little creepy, right? You wonder, is there like a higher power that's starting to sabotage these political streams? I'm not political, so don't sabotage my stream. And by the way, how's my mic working? Because last time we had some issues. I want to make sure the mic is working okay. And now, by the way, I have to get my blade too to open some of this stuff. So yeah, it was an interesting observation, and I think if you're on people's live streams, you got to let me know if they're getting weird glitches, suppresses the audio. That's too coincidental in my opinion. But What the hell do I know? What the hell do I know? It could just be a very, very odd coincidence, but it would be odd. So anyway, um, I'm going to do this in reverse. Oh, that big X rubber stamp. Here, let me. Oh, where did I put it? Let me show you something. I should, I should start stamping this. This is a Robbie the Robot stamp, and check it out here. Let me. How cool is that? That's basically what the ink impression would resemble if I use this. Every time I mail a letter or something, I don't have an ink pad, and this is here in my office, so I usually tend to get bills and documentation at my house. Um, there you go, hair juicer. So it's not maybe a coincidental. I think you need to employ language creoles at this point that sidesteps the algorithms and now what those creoles are going to look like, how they're manifested. I don't know. It's gonna require some inventive thinking for people to put together some good creoles that are going to work around this suppression, in my opinion, because if that's really happening, you know, somebody's got to get on it. I'm sure Sticks would be really good at that, but everyone has to be in sync. Um, am I selling the Batman toys? Well, before I get into some uh, things, discussion or opening, let me go right here to filtering Batman toys. I went to eBay and I filtered Batman on the vintage side by the most expensive. Now, let me see if I can move this over a bit here. I probably don't really need to. So here's like somebody selling a collection for 99,000, and it says hard to find vintage items, but there's not a lot of pictures here. You'd have to really know what you're digging through. I guess if you send them correspondence, I'm not an action figure guy. I leave that to Nerd Roddick, who's got a million of those things behind him. Um, Given what some of those prices were at the Heritage auction, who the hell knows? I mean, he might very well have $100,000. I mean, when you see single toys selling for 150,000, um, do you have pickers in Japan? Nope, don't have that. But anyway, other toys. If you look at the prices here, like I have this gun. I got it out of Yahoo Japan. I haven't seen this boxed. Over here, they're asking $8,500. I think I paid half for mine in nicer condition. Um, I'll give you an example. This item here that I picked up from the Heritage auction, this Batcraft, I didn't buy it because I particularly wanted this toy, which I think is plastic, all plastic. Yeah. I don't even know if I'll display this, but what I liked about this particular acquisition was I got the original art, the original painting, and I think I picked up 3 original art pieces. So the artist that created this box, I have the art that was utilized to make this box, and I think I have maybe 3 or 4 original art pieces that I liked. Including the toy. The toy came with it. So for me, it was ancillary. I didn't really care so much. I don't think that this is a particularly rare toy, but although I see it's $2,500, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that one auction raised the prices up. You know what they say: a rising tide lifts all boats. So it could very well be. So that's our now getting it framed. I believe I bought the artwork for this toy too. This Mark's tin car. Again, I'm going to have to unbox this stuff. I think a lot of the original art went way, way too cheap. I tended to stick with the art that had some fairly cool toys attached to it. Now, if it would have been Japanese art, for like the 10 toys, it would have been astonishing. I don't think I got these finger puppets. You never know. You never know. I have like, could you imagine that I bought all this stuff? I don't even know what the hell I bought. Now, one thing, by the way, when you are perusing eBay, you see this car here, this Batman car, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 listings for the exact same car. And this is the problem with Japanese sellers. They take photographs that are listed. It could be on a Yahoo Japan auction. They don't own the item. This could be on Yahoo Japan for $500. They'll list it here for, this, 13 to 1481 range, different sellers. And they figure, well, you know what, if somebody buys it, then we'll buy the one on Yahoo Japan. And sometimes they don't even acquire the piece. So that's a caveat emptor moment when you see this stuff. Buyer beware. Yeah, it's be careful dealing with Japanese if you're going through this. Ozzy, do you feel Kit is a Kit? Oh, Kitahara is competition. I don't think so anymore. I don't think that he's that active at this point. He's probably in his mid 70s, although I think he looks younger than I do. I mean, he keeps himself in fantastic condition, but I think he has enough. You know what I mean? My understanding is he has like 3 different warehouses filled to the brim with stuff, and he can't even display what he owns. So I doubt that he's active. I'm not saying he wouldn't pick off a piece if it slides under the radar and it goes fairly cheap. But anyway, here's your top end Batman stuff. Nothing crazy. The only thing on here, I may have shown this before. I think this is pretty cool. These are the Vari-View flicker rings, and this is an entire set. So this is those rings you kind of jiggle in it. So it's a lenticular rings. Now at that heritage auction, people probably would have paid stupid money for this, like $3,000. But who knows? Now the vinyl, I picked up both vinyl Batman figures. They're carded sealed in the bag. I've never seen the carded version before. I've seen them loose, so they went for stupid money, but it's the first time in my life I've ever seen them, and I'm not huge on vinyl, but in this case, being Batman, early Batman, not, if they ever come out with woke Batman, I don't really give a crap. I got the ones that are, pre-woke era crap. And that's your Batman stuff. I also said, let me look at some ray guns, see if there's any good ray guns, because you don't really find a lot of good ray guns on eBay. And sure enough, the first ray gun listed is this Batman gun, which isn't technically a ray gun. I did actually buy a ray gun at that heritage auction, a plastic, really cool British, I believe, ray gun in the box. And it was several $1,000s, but when I do the unveiling of the Batman toys, you'll see it is really cool. And it just because it was spacey too, spacey design. This is more of like a shooter. But over here, this is, the typical eBay ray guns. Nothing, that grabs my attention. Here's a super jetter, but you can see how quickly the price de-escalates. So, and this is funny. Tango Bongo. This is just classic. Classic Macedonia, shoot the Tango Bongo. This is probably a fun toy. And so that's it on the ray gun. So now let me get to the unboxing, the unveiling, if you will. And I'll put Natasha, my possible granddaughter doppelganger. Let's move her out of the way here. Move this up here. Nope, don't expand. Yeah, so good for Natasha, because she's Italian. I give her a thumb up, 2 thumbs up, even though she's in that crappy series. By the way, this, what do they call this again? Benchwade knife has not dulled at all. So it's probably worth the $200 that they charged. I have to get to this first because this was from Don Connor, who's on Alpha-Drome. And I've been wanting one of these. And he was like, yo, bro, did you get it? Did you get it? So, oh, it's a 2-parter. And I said, let me open this because he's anxious to know if it came via the postal service. So first I could say there's no hidden surprises in here. Don, you didn't give me any swag with your ship. So here it is. Give me a sec to cut this open. Believe it or not, this is something I never had before. Now I do. Wish I would have had the box for it, but I've only seen the box maybe twice in my life. So I said, I'm not going to hold my breath and wait for the box on this one because it'll be a long time coming. And if I come across the box, then I'll buy it and then sell this one. That's my MO, modus operandi. All right. So are you ready, my friends? Here is Billy. Billy, don't be a hero. Don't be a fool with your life. Dun, dun, dun. This is called Billy on a Saucer. Now, they made Billy on a Rocket, I think two color versions, but this is really tough to find. And this one is really nice condition. Thank God he's a very conservative grader, not grator like you're grating cheese, but grader, like gave it a nice conservative grade because I think it's actually underrated in his grading. But so this is Billy Saucer, and I'm glad I finally have one. Now, would it be nice to have the box? Yeah, but you know what? Now I got to shrink this back up. And that is Billy, Don't Be a Hero. I think I only have one version of the rocket. So let's put Billy over here and here. Can't see him, but that's okay. That's okay. So that's my first unboxing. The next thing I want to, Al, you said, do I have the Bat V phone from Remco? No, I don't have that. And the utility belt I don't have, but I don't, yeah, I don't want too much plastic. So this thing I wanted to open last time, this thing is massive. And it's some kind of weird space game. So let's see what the hell this thing is. This is one of those things that, it's an impulse buy and you buy it and you're like, why the hell did I buy this? Where the hell am I going to put it? And I honestly had no idea it was this big. Because if I knew it was this big, I probably would have said, I don't want that thing. And this is one of those things that the seller's like, oh, thank God I got rid of that piece of shit. No, I'm kidding. I mean, it's not a POS, but you know where this is going to end up in one of these cabinets behind me. Mackerel. All right, sit tight, sit tight. It's getting there. What the hell is this thing? Oh, God. Oh, God. All right. Holy mackerel. This is a French, and I think I bought it just because I like the box. It's a French space game. I do like this Buck Roger-esque ship. Rossier X4950, made by the Miro Company in Paris, if you care. I'm going to open that box, but take the tag out. Let's see what the auction company called it. Kind of interesting to see. They described it as a, well, I'll let you read it. Maybe you can't see that. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. Let's see. Come on, focus, focus, damn it. Well, I'll tell you, it says very rare 1947 French croissant. Croissant. Croisier. Brazier, whatever the hell it is. All right, let's look inside this thing. I hope there's more to it than just this box. Now, this ship here feels embossed, which is kind of cool. Either that or it's just bubbling up. Oh, before I get into that, Another little interesting. Here's the person. I guess that's the person that owned it. It's kind of weird when I see that, because to me it's like, okay, back in 1947, this was given to Danny Dominique Thomas, or maybe later on, and they wrote on the box. Thank God they only wrote, you know, faintly. Let's see what this thing looks like in here. This is heavy, heavy cardboard too. Mm. So it is a cool game board here. You could see. For somebody like me that likes these space graphics, yeah, got the instructions. It's actually got little rocket planes in here. And then you have like, I guess, almost like the game of life. You spin and so that's what it is, a vintage game with some cards. See if these cards all say Jupiter and they have different values on them. So, whatever. Meh. I don't know. Like I said, the graphics look cool, but sometimes I think it's impulse. When you're in auction fever, you're like, that looks cool without thinking, where the hell am I going to put this thing? So now this will be stored. Hey, let me know. Wee wee, for sure. Wee wee. You had to be a wee wee to say, I'm going to drop whatever the hell I dropped on that. Now, here's a little something. Thank God I go for something from something big to small. The hell? It's like I'm getting to the point where I tell people, I'm like, they don't understand. They're like, you want to buy this? You want to buy that? I'm like, dude, I got a million freaking things to open, man. You don't understand. Like, and they're like, oh, whoa, tough to be you. I'm like, yeah, I'm telling you, I got other shit too. I have, let's see, I'm going to give you the inside baseball to my loyal live streaming audience. I don't know. This is in litho, something or other. Anyway, I have a new roof that I'm putting on one of my commercial building, complete. I mean, like from the decking on. So I'm ripping off the entire decking. It's $150,000 project. I'm doing the expansion of this building. If we can get the contractors finalized and the architects synced up, I can't even begin to tell you what that's going to cost. Uh, and in this building, we're doing remodeling 4 bathrooms and the lobbies. So, different contractors for that. Then the third building is getting a complete paint job makeover. So these projects all take time. Al, thank you about the Bentley. Well, so this little tiny thing, I bet you this costs a bundle because now I know what it is. This toy I bought strictly for nostalgia, but I'm kind of glad it's small because you start running out of space on the shelves. And as a curator, I gotta like actually fit this crap in somewhere. But man, this is really small. Jesus. Jeez Louise. So in here is a boxed humor truck. God almighty. Is this thing tiny? Dem was the days when you'd have the good humor truck. I remember the good humor truck. I can't believe how small this thing is. I have ice cream trucks here. They're like 8 to 10 inches. Can I get it out? Well, the toy's pretty mint, so here you go. That's actually really cool. I mean, for a small tin item, sometimes these tiny ones have a lot of beautiful litho details and they're just really well made. Now, what's funny is this says Mount Vernon, New York on there, which is like very close to where I grew up. I don't know if you could see that. Um, Now the robot band's been sitting at Morphe's for like almost a year, and they're like not happy about that because they're like it's on 16 skids. That's one of the reasons I'm doing this building construction. I looked for a long time to get a retail place, but in the end, I decided that this building is the best place to put it because this is where everything else is. But they want it out of there in the worst way, and I want it out of there in the worst way. That's your good humor. These will all be future videos. Man, this is really, look, I got to show you this again. This is really nice. Nicely done. Nicely done. Got the door in the back. Stabilizer. There we go. Yeah, I know. This box is really nice. Brittle. Brittle. You know, the thing about these types of toys like this is a it's a current brand. So that's always preferred, when you get like Coca-Cola or something like this that still exists. I still can't get over. And there's the other. So that's a good looking toy. We'll put the tag in there. What the hell else do we have in here? I'm running out of time because I know the guy's going to call soon. Let's see this thing. Um, do you get on a high when? Do I get on a high? No. Look, when I do tours in here, my goal is to be interesting for the people that it might spark a little bit of interest. So I try to give as much information and details as I possibly can. Um, at some point, I hope to record some kind of narration because let's face it, if I die tomorrow, nobody's going to have the information that I have memorized in here because I have the story for every single piece and no one can replicate that. Nobody. Now, I was thinking of something because it reminded me. I had this discussion with my wife, and I love to rail on how much I can't stand Disney, but I want to put things into a perspective. Personal, why I don't like what these companies do, like them as an example. There's others, but they're like the most egregious to me because of the IPs that they've destroyed, like Marvel and Star Wars. I want you to think about this before I show you this. And you can in the chat tell me if you get what I'm saying. Now, I've collected almost 40 years, right? I've put together this collection of over 1,000 pieces, toys, arcade machines, original art, fortune tellers. I have a movie room in here, kiddie rides, the stand-up, playable arcade machines, some new pinballs with Godzilla, Led Zeppelin, and the Beatles. Just stuff that same era as the toys. Really, in all honesty, 60s. Right at the sweet spot of all the early Japanese anime stuff. Now, imagine somebody came along to me and said, "Hey, we want to buy the collection from you. We want to buy." Maybe they make me some crazy offer. We want to buy your building. We want to buy the museum, the collection, whatever, the brand because it's a brand, right? Um, so I sell, and they're like, "We're going to be good stewards of this," and yada 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 yada. Now, I want you to juxtapose this with what Disney's doing with these IPs like Marvel and Star Wars as an example, and Snow White and Little Mermaid and all this crap. So you get somebody comes in here, buys this collection the way it is, and all of a sudden they hire some activist, right? The activist says, "Hey, you know what? I don't like the sign when you walk in. I don't like that rocket sign. We want to put it. Just starts off. We want to put a logo. Like maybe we just want a different logo up there because it's not the museum logo or anything. Okay, so it starts like that. Then you walk through, you see all these original movie posters, really valuable, some of the rarest movie posters. Well, Robbie the Robot is holding Altera, the blonde, scantily dressed as they used to be back then in the 50s. This is offensive. This depicts women in a sexist, chauvinistic manner. We don't like this. We want to replace these posters. So now the posters come down, right? They're not acceptable for modern audiences. I should have used the mic to say modern audiences. So next thing you know, the posters come down. Now you have the full size robots. Well, these robots, they were holding the women. We don't want the big full size robots. They have to come down. Now they start looking through the toys. Well, Popeye was sexist. We don't like the way Popeye treated Olive Oil. He'd grab her, yada yada. Popeye toys, the record breaking Popeye tank. That has to go. Right, you see where I'm going with this? The Robbie toys have to go because Robbie was. We don't like the way Altera was depicted. They have to go. So little by little, and then all of a sudden they get to the anime toys, all the Gigantor, Astro Boy, Speed Racer, Eight Man, sheesh, Big X, Zero Sen Hayatu, Parman, you know, Tarzan, or they see characters like Nutty Nibs or Raja Ray. Those are racist. We don't like anime is too racist. Next thing you know, they could completely change what took half a century to build, right? And that's why I don't like when you see these corporations infiltrate something and then they just completely destroy it. That's how I look at it personally. So that may make sense to you that are watching. It may not. That's my take on it anyway. So for the final toy, but think about that, right? You could literally that's what they're doing. Um, they're coming in and they're actually changing the complete identity of what these things were. And then it's no longer that product anymore. This wouldn't be the same collection if a bunch of activists came in and, you know, decided to remove everything they didn't like. Well, it was 80 years ago. I mean, I have toys that are 120 years old, like Jazzbo Jim, Jigger toys. What are they going to say? We don't like them. They were racist back then. The box is racist. Not a lot of them, but they could very well do that. There's people that have the toys from 1930s Japan and Germany, and I guarantee you they wouldn't like those toys. Anyway, for my final unveiling, and let me see what you said. What happened when? So there's only been one kid, a small kid, that I allowed to ride on one of the rocket toys. These rockets were restored. The cost was anywhere from $15,000 to $30,000 to restore one of those rocket rides, depending on the level of restoration they needed. And they're designed for maybe up to like 9 years old. So if I have 5, 6, 9 max, in my opinion, if you have like a 4 or 5 year old, and I've only had that once, and the mom happened to work at a local club, so I said, yeah, that's fine. Put it, and that's one of the videos. Actually, I did a short on it. So that was the one instance where I let the kid ride it. Other than that, I don't. And there was one funny instance where I had a collector, and his wife was so tiny, she squeezed into the moon ride that spins like a washing machine. Unbeknownst to me, they snuck in there and rode it, but that ride's only set for 10 seconds, 10 or 15. So that was surprising and funny at the same time. Anyway, for my last trick, this is a Big X wind up flyover toy. These are kind of cool. Again, I'll make videos of these particular toys, but you kind of see the gist. This is Big X. Is it Big X? Oh, we don't want them to fall. So that's that. I can't shake them, but you get the idea. It's Big X hovering over this, and again, here's the box. So Big X, if you know the story, was a superhero like Captain America. He had to have injections to get his superpower. And then because of the heroin, uh, what do you want to call it? The heroin epidemic in this 60s and 70s, the Japanese were uncomfortable with him taking a shot every time. So I think they changed it either to like, an occasional rare shot or some other way to get his powers because they thought it promoted drug use. And, it's just kind of funny that from a cultural standpoint, they were worried about that stuff back then. We're like, oh no, we don't want it to promote drug use. Anyway, that's going to conclude today because unfortunately, I have to get out of here and prepare for the semi. But I still have next time. I still have more here. I don't even know if I could show. Let me show you that. See in that corner there. Well, you can't tell, but in that corner, it's just loads of bubble wrap product that I got to get to. So, anyway, listen. Thank you for joining me. As always, I appreciate it, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Do what I used to do for many years. Get that giant pot of, we used to call it gravy, but tomato sauce. My mom used to stew it all day, all day. She'd put these meatballs and the pork fillet. What do you call it? The pork loin. She'd chop it up, mostly boneless, but sometimes it had bones. And sausage, she would do the sausage in there, and she would stew that frickin' sucker from like 6 in the morning until like 3 in the afternoon. And it was the most delicious sauce you could ever imagine in your life. Nothing's been close to it. There hasn't been a restaurant I ever went to in my life that made sauce like that. Um, and that is uh, for people that like to cook, that's the old school way of doing it. And now, do I make reproduction boxes? Only if I have to, because I'm not set up at my house. The house that my parents are now, that I acquired for them to kind of retire down here, I do have my cutting stuff and my tools. So if I had to do it there, I can make it there, but I try not to. But if I had to make a box, I could make it. It's not something that I enjoy doing, but if I need it for myself, but I don't do it for um, like other people. Let's put it that way, and or profit. It's just too time consuming, and I can't spend the time to do it. But I'll send you my email on Facebook. So anyway, and you can message me there anyway, but I'll send you my email there. Anyway, listen, thanks again, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And with that, my friends, I'll talk to you later. Peace. Peace? Which way? Peace. See ya.